Welcome to the Lady Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your hostess, Shaha Knight, branding coach, and I am here to talk to you all about the profit off CNBC. This is our first one, and it's exciting because I'm joined by two lovely ladies, Miss Nicole Lundy and Miss Molly Harris. Nicole, tell us about your business and what you do, and then Molly's going to do the same.
Well, first of all, Jaha, thank you so much for having me. I was so excited when you said you wanted to talk about The Prophet because it's one of my absolute favorite shows. I actually make time to watch during the week. So, with that said, I am Nicole Lundy. I am known as the Money Making Brand Strategist. My specialty is helping high-performing small business CEOs and entrepreneurs who are super talented and hardworking and know what they want to do, but they don't know how to be distinctive in their marketplace so that people get to hear their brand story, their message, and get in their funnel so they eventually get to pay them and take part of their services and products. So I take care of A to Z of who you are, the special way you do it, and getting people to pay you for that.
Awesome. And tell us about your business, Molly.
Well, again, to echo what she said, definitely thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. So I am a board certified occupational therapist, and I'm certified in something called lifestyle redesign, which is an approach based out of the University of Southern California and their doctoral program for OT. And what that looks at is a person's habits, their roles, their routines, their daily self-care, and how that impacts their overall sense of fulfillment and well-being. And what I do is I help people uncover their lifestyle barriers to living that life that they want, and then help them create a plan to do so. And that can be anyone from a mom to a business owner to, I've worked with people. I have a background in corporate banking, so I've worked with some CEOs, and it runs the gamut. So.
Awesome. So you have a great background, and so do you, Nicole. That is outstanding. So we are here to talk about the first episode of season 2, The Prophet. And that episode was all about Athens Motors. What were your first impressions about the show this episode, Nicole?
My first impression was that the owner, Pete, was completely delusional of what it meant to be a CEO. He was so fixated on things he liked. He didn't do market research on who his target audience was, before he even spent so much money building stuff for them, which essentially he was building for himself. For instance, spending $500,000 on a customer lounge and like this crazy cloud painted roof. It was just ridiculous to me, and he was just lost. But I see how it relates to a lot of entrepreneurs I talk to who spend a lot of time on their website or programming. They have to program their next 36 tweets for the next day, and they have nothing to sell. So it's like, why are you spending all of this time to build something and there's no way for people to pay you? So I felt like he was completely lost and very arrogant in terms of like not even relying on the people who knew better. For instance, his cousin, I forgot his name, who knew more about cars than him.
Yeah, I wrote
Tony,
that down.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, is that all?
Oh. I can say more, but I'll let Molly talk first.
Go ahead, Molly.
Nicole, I totally agree with you. And as I said, I have a background in finance, but really what I'm doing now is much more lifestyle focused and fulfillment. But just looking at that guy, I felt horrible for him because he had this like completely off-center idea of where his business should be going. Yeah, okay, you've got this vision, you want this high-end product, but you're not even close to the mark. Like Nicole said, you're not doing that market research, and you're really kind of living this, fantasy without really putting the work in to find out if this is really, worthwhile. And as someone who, I'll be honest, I'm the kind of person where I would love to spend as much as possible on the colors and the branding of my website and great pictures and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you have got to be on point with all your finances. You can't be spending millions of dollars on granite and video games for your lobby.
It took $4 million for him to build out that space, and it took 18 months. And that's hilarious to me. He had 20 cars, 20 luxury cars, and he was losing $1.8 million a year from the numbers that I'm looking at. I think that's insanity times everything. Like,
Right.
not even times one thing, everything.
And I can't remember off the top of my head, but did he say that anybody like talked to him about this decision, that it was pretty irrational? I mean, I don't remember offhand, but
I want to know what his wife said. That's what I want to
right,
know.
right.
Because
Well, I
let
think
me
his wife
hear.
was ready to kill him because he was crying when he said, like my wife is ready for this business to work or not work. And I don't blame her recently, because if he's that arrogant, like his name has to be on the wall and like all of this craziness, like I can't imagine what it means to be married with him. But I know that's not what we're talking about.
Honestly, I think I think that he was being saved by Marcus Lemonis.
Oh
I think
yeah.
he was being saved by him changing the name of the business, because so much associated with the name of what he had before had already been tainted. Because he had 20 cars. He felt it was more important to build out a customer lounge than the actual business he was in, which was crazy to me. I'm like, but how are you serving the client? It was taking the idea of branding to a a way far out level. Like, I call it the unicorn client. You have a unicorn because that person does not exist. Nobody was in there. You didn't see people chilling out and playing video games. It's not a video arcade, you know? And it was kind of a mixed message with the videos, and then you got the the Sistine Chapel painting on.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious, I think, when you're watching the show, and I'm sure a lot of the people who are on the show don't really see themselves until they watch themselves, and I'm sure they probably are embarrassed. But I remember even myself when I started my business almost 6 years ago in 2009. I was in a completely different industry, and I spent almost $5,000 on the website and all of this other stuff. I didn't consult with anybody. This was just stuff I liked. Um, I created the prices on based on what I would do it, not knowing not at that point realizing I am never my ideal customer.
Mm.
And I created program like I spent so much time, money, and effort, didn't receive a dollar back because it was just all in my head.
That's how I
And
was
at that
writing
time, like I
books.
felt like I could see, as crazy as it sounds, like I see myself in a lot of these different people on the Profit,
Hmm.
but at different stages of business. But it's more so like, man, like you have to get out of your own way, your own ego, and really listen to your market. Really, put your tail between your leg and ask people what they need help with and how they like to receive their help. Not everybody likes to receive their help on a weekly conference call. Some people like a video series. And I'm not saying you could please everybody, but you need to have a pulse all the time from your target audience. It's not a one-time thing either. It's a constant thing that you have to put in your schedule of how can I serve my target audience, listening directly to them.
Yeah.
Well, and think about it. I mean, we're all business owners, and there's tons of people watching this show that are business owners. And, I mean, yes, it's a business and there's a huge financial piece of it, but, I know for myself, I'm not going to speak for either of you, but I'm sure on some level, you're putting your heart and soul into this because you're passionate about it. And, you can say it's not business, it's personal, which is just the most horrible cliche ever, I feel like. But, and yes, business does come down to that spreadsheet numbers, you know are you in the red, are you in the black kind of thing, but there's also that other side of it that's a little more soulful and artistic,
Hmm.
where it's a piece of you. It's you know it's sort of like a child in a way, where you're bringing this idea to life and this vision. And, for Marcus to come in and say, you know, this is not working, buddy. I'm sure his ego is just completely crushed because he's like, yes, this is it. This is what's going to bring people in. However, like, dude, at some point you got to kind of like own up and say something's not working. Maybe we need to change.
Right. So, like, at what point do you say something has to change? Like, losing $1.8 million per year, for some business owners, that might be losing, $5,000 a year and they be in the red. At what point do you say, where is my brilliance and where do I need to bring in people with their brilliance and then trust them with their brilliance?
Because that
He
was a
had a
big piece
cousin,
too. He didn't trust
right?
them.
He didn't trust his accountant. Like, she couldn't keep the books in her office. He didn't trust his cousin Tony, who had like 2 decades or something in the car industry. He brought in people who were talented in certain areas, but he still didn't trust them. So I think it was a leadership thing, and then also a delegation thing. There's several things that gets a little murky in there.
And then well, Marcus put so many different revenue streams in that one business by restructuring the flow of how people walk through the business. And that's the thing that I really was interested in, outside of the fact that he was really showing how to, minimize risk and maximize capital. Like, he took all of those outrageous things out of the business and liquidated them so that they could buy merchandise, which is what the business is. And then basically had to make him stop micromanaging people so that they could do their jobs. And I thought that that was important because I've had micromanaging bosses. I would never want to be that type of boss. So for me, my rhythm doesn't allow for me to have someone work with me that I have to micromanage. So as a leader in your own business too, you have to kind of know who you can hire and what the attributes they require, or the attributes you require are to work with someone else. So that was really key for me when I was watching. What about you,
Okay,
Abby?
I totally agree with you on this. And I think that, I really, whether it's in life or business, I really believe that you need to know where your strengths lie. And you need to get to a point as an adult where you feel on some level able to just be brutally honest with yourself about this is where my talents are, this is where my strength lies, and these are the areas where I know I'm not so good, so I need some support.
Yeah.
I've done it in my own business. I mean, my husband is a commercial banker, and I'm like, boom, you're doing the finances, and when I need to spend money or I have a question. I mean, he's got a great business mind, and he works with all kinds of different businesses. So I'm like, let's talk this out because I know it sounds good to me, but it's a little too romantic and perfect. So what do you think? Like that. He brings me down out of the clouds sometimes. And I think being able to say, okay, I know I'm not like a timely person, or I don't keep track of how much is going in and out and things like that. Even just that little bit is going to make you think, where can I put this so that it's in a safe place? But, be honest that you need a certain type of person handling that. And I don't know what his deal was with his cousin or with the girl doing the finances. If it's just simply he needed to handle everything himself just because he needed that control, or if maybe he didn't trust them. I don't know. But
He kept saying, I put all the money in this business, and that's the thing. But you have a business. You can't be everywhere. And it seems like he turned, instead of being an entrepreneur where he became a business owner, which means that he wanted to create a job for himself. I don't want a job for myself. I want to free up my time. That's not why I became an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur. So it's also knowing what your goals are for your business too. Like, are you just trying to create another job for yourself, or are you trying to create freedom for yourself? So I love the show because you're able to assess some of the mindset behind the people that are there. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
huh, that's interesting. Not condemn, because sometimes you, just like Nicole said, you've been in those positions too. I know I
Mm-hmm.
have, where you're like, I want to do everything myself.
Yeah.
I was doing the thing, and no, that didn't work. You have to have people around you that are really good at what they do. Like you were talking about, Nicole, the area of brilliance, and you were talking about Molly. You can't do everything. So yeah, that was something that I noticed from there as well.
I also want to talk about how it was so hard for clients to come in and actually do business with him. So Tony mentioned, people are calling all day, or people walk on the lot and there's only, a Porsche available for sale. So I think people could look at that like, you should get an objective view. Is it easy for your target audience to work with you, to pay you? If they go on their site, is it clear on what you offer? Do you have, even if you work with new entrepreneurs, as an example, do you have an entry level place for them to start, a free place for them to start, a high level advanced training for them to start one-on-one? Is it easy for them to understand that? And then how can they on the side see how evaluate you? Basically, how can you showcase your expertise? The grammar didn't sound right for a second. So whether it's like YouTube videos or having a podcast show, or getting them on your email list, and training them every week, whether it's through sending additional videos and articles out, whatever it is, you have to balance always showcasing a fresh perspective of your expertise and authority, and always reassess, is it easy for people to come on my site and work with me if they want to work with me,
or even find the content to work with you. That's what I'm finding as we're doing Get Branded. I'm finding that most of the sites that we revamp, they have that issue where it's so much clutter, so much distraction, or they seem all over the place and they have no brand clarity whatsoever. And not all the ones I've worked with, but some, because some of these are emerging entrepreneurs for that. But just looking at other people's sites, and when they're putting them up and they're like, I have um well, how is it, my website .blogspot.com, but you have an
that's still
1100,
happening.
yeah, you have an $1,100 product, and you're like, you're not even investing in your business, but you want me to invest in you. I think the perception, and I've said this before, especially on
Reality.
videos, yeah, perception is value. And if you're, are you okay, Molly?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so perception is value, and if you're telling me that you want me to pay for a program that's $14.97, and you don't look like you know what you're doing, why would I do that? Or even
Right.
going on your site is so unclear as to what you really specialize in that I'm confused. And it's like, I don't know what to
Right.
know. I don't know what this
And
is.
even it translates in person, because
Yes, it does.
I think it's a mindset. I literally, every time I go to an event, I meet at least one person who's a real estate investor, a copywriter, and something else. And the card, their business card, literally has all three businesses on it. And I literally blown away, because I'm like, because I want to scream. But it's just like, what am I calling you for? Like, I don't know why I would call. Like, who has time? Who has time to have three brands they're building, and they're all new? Now,
But they're multi-passionate.
they're multi-passionate, and I understand, myself, because I have two businesses, but one is way newer than my brand consulting business, and until that gets to a certain point, it's not, a public kind of thing. And I think you have to be very structured in your days too, with what is your sales checklist
Totally,
that has to get done
Nicole.
every day or on a weekly basis, and what is your marketing checklist? What are your, when are you doing your client deliverables and stuff? Because some people are so focused in one, like, tunnel vision in one specific area in their business, everything else is being ignored. I could guarantee you, like, for some entrepreneurs, this is the most they've ever looked at their finances for the prior year, because it's tax season. And that can't happen if you are committed to growing your business and becoming a global brand. Because all of these little things that don't have a system gets highlighted when you do grow bigger. And I think that happens to a lot of people on the profit.
Well, don't you think too? I mean, like, you know, going online and you see all these ads, I did, 5, 6 figures in my first launch, and I can show you how to do it. Just sign up for my free webinar. And, we all have those branding things
Hey,
to get
I just did
people.
that.
Oh,
I'm like, are you talking about me? It was true, but still,
no.
I'm like,
Well,
hey.
but okay, let me get to the point.
I'm like, wait a
But my point is,
minute.
it's very enticing and romanticizing, and for someone like me who is more on the early end and just kind of starting out the last 6 months or so, that's like, oh my God, I have got to do this because this is going to be the magic pill that makes everything happen. I can quit my job, I can live on an island in the tropics or whatever, and I tend to be that kind of romantic. Um, my husband says I'm a marketer's dream, but it's
She'll
it's
buy
like,
it.
yeah, right. Thank God I have somebody else doing my finance.
Email
But
Molly. No, I'm just
yeah, I know.
get her on
um,
your mailing list. No.
exactly. But like, you think about it, like, yeah, that is possible, but you don't sometimes realize until you're like in the heat of it, like, oh my God, I got to do that, and oh shoot, wait, I got to do that too, and I don't know, I haven't even thought about that thing yet, and there's just one thing after another that you start to learn that you need to be keeping track of or that you need to be doing in a different way. And it does become like very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it's not always the glamorous stuff. And for, someone like me who's just starting out, it's pretty much if I don't do it, no one's going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm starting
Pretty
to get
much.
people on my team, but at the end of the day, you want this business to work, honey, you got to do it yourself.
Molly, I lied to you not. I had a webinar this Saturday, and I woke up oh so late, and the webinar was supposed to be actually on, and this is when I said you need a team. You can't. No, this is not working.
Mhm.
What is the dysfunction in your brand, Jaha? You. So so that's what I was asking about. Like, I was so upset on the webinar. When I watched it back, I was like, oh, I was angry. And I was angry at myself because I knew I needed a team. There was so much that had to be done and that was done for it. But at the same time, your mistakes and your bloopers, they just set you up to come back stronger. So I didn't have an issue with it. I was just like, okay, you're upset with yourself, but you need to get over it because there's other stuff that needs to be done. So at the end of the day, some of these entrepreneurs that are on the profit, they have mistakes and they have bloopers, and it's just a setup for a comeback because that's what he goes there for. That's what Marcus goes there for, to help them to pull out of their own way and out of their own mess. So
Exactly.
I like the show, and specifically because it breaks down numbers that most entrepreneurs don't think about. We have to think about profit all the time because if you're building something, you want it to last. You don't want to just do it for bare basic prices, and you're
Mhm.
not able to really provide to the people what they really deserve because you're so busy frustrated about what you were paid. So charge what you're worth and make sure that what you are giving is way more than what you actually you know, put in the package or whatever. So that's my advice for the end of the season, I mean episode season, the end of this episode. What is your advice to the lady entrepreneurs that are now building their businesses? And we talked about a couple things, but we didn't get there about the profit. So if you want to throw some things in there about profit as well, please feel free.
You go first, Molly. I
Oh,
have to narrow it down.
okay. Well, first of all, I think for me, the profit really has been educational. Just in terms of, like you were saying, those numbers and just becoming more comfortable, thinking ahead of what they're actually saying in the show and going, okay, I was on point with that, or, then, okay, I don't really understand that, so I need to go look that up.
Hmm.
So, that's really been informative for me in that sense. And, in terms of building your own business, I think that, for me, the two things that really stand out are number one, like I said before, be honest. Be honest with yourself and be honest with your audience. Um, and, just give and give and give and make your corner of the business world the very best that it can be.
Good. I like that.
Okay. So I talked about people before, so I want to touch on process. Um, in terms of the profit, the entrepreneurs who call Marcus, I am pretty sure they know his philosophy that it's people, process, and products. And I think in terms of entrepreneurs, you have to pick whose process you want to follow, because you can spend a lot of time on webinars. You could have 5 different coaches in the same area, and you have 20 different philosophies to get one thing done. So I think you have to spend time on knowing where your brilliance lies, and know where you need help in, and follow one person, whether it's an expert in branding, whether it's systems, whether it's organizing your finances. You need to pick a process and run with it, because it's a proven model by whoever you're following. So the issue is not that it won't work. The issue is that you're scattered. So that's what I want to leave the lady entrepreneurs listening, is to be very careful with your time. Do not follow a million people. You do not need to be on 500 people's list. Don't get caught up with the shiny Facebook ads of make 6 figures this weekend. If you have a coach already, or if you don't, be
good.
laser focused. It serves you in business to be tunnel vision in certain areas, and it hurts you in other areas. But in terms of processes, I think you need to be very tunnel vision on whose process you're following and stick to it. So that's what I'm leaving with.
I like that. You said make 6 figures this weekend. If you got the time to do that, like seriously. But that is awesome. I'm so glad that you all joined us. Tell us what you have coming up next and how people can reach you. You lovely ladies both have podcasts, so I want you to definitely put that out there so that they can join your podcast as well.
Yeah, so my podcast is the Pretty and Profiting Show, where we talk branding, beauty, and business. And you can find it on iTunes on the Pretty and Profiting Show. And I'm changing up the format a bit in the next coming weeks, but we're hitting our 50th episode next week, and we launched in November. So it's been fun. It's been very good. And you can find me on my regular site, profitablepersonalbrand.com.
Awesome. That's Nicole Lundy, because she didn't even tell y'all who she was.
Oh, yes. Nicole K. Lundy on social media everywhere.
Okay, Molly.
So my podcast is called Habitually Speaking, and it's all about creating healthy habits to build a radiant life. And I talk with all kinds of people, men and women, just about the things that help them make their lives amazing. And, a lot of great stories about, overcoming adversity and really living a life through triumph and things like that. And you can find me at molly-harris.com. And also we have in the Syracuse area an upcoming event called Epic Woman, and it's all about empowering and inspiring women and coming together to collaborate to really create a sense of sisterhood and help women really live an amazing life. Lots of fun stuff coming up for that, and that's epicwoman.me if you want to check it out, because it could be coming to a city near you down the road.
Awesome. And that information will all be in the show notes for this episode. I want to thank Nicole K. Lundy and Molly Harris for joining me. And I would like to say I was gonna tell them about your event, Molly. You jumped the gun. But I'm excited for it. I hope that it goes very well. And Nicole, I've met Nicole, so I know what she's capable of producing. She's the one that made me step my game up. She was like, "Girl, you blended into the world. Stop it." And I was like, "Fine."
I'm on the train, girls. I'm on the train.
So thank you. I appreciate you for that, because you really made me go out and get a stylist, an image consultant, and rock my style, because I have one. I just didn't know what it was. So now I'm there. I'm like, yes. Thank you, Nicole. So, and thank you so much for joining us, both you ladies, Molly and Nicole. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you too. Thanks for letting me join you. Have a good one.